As I was telling, let's start for FIDNS today. Okay. And we will be starting from the very scratch, and I will be trying to give you an overview about the DNS. Everybody, you should be aware about DNS. Yes. So DNS is a really very critical component of anybody's life. Either he or she is in, networking, security, cloud, any infrastructure you take the name. Okay. DNS is important. You cannot exclude the DNS. Simply, DNS stands for, if I start from the scratch, it stands for domain name system. Okay. So DNS is a protocol that translate. Everybody is aware about it. I am just trying to start from the very basic. It translate the name into IP address, like example.com. Okay. Translating to 192.1.1.1 or whatever IP. It just translate the name to the IP. Or we can say it act as a phone book. Like we have phone in our contact books or in our contact details, we have contact number associated with phone number. Yeah, contact name with the associated with phone number. Similarly, it is a phone book of the internet. So why it is important if I will ask? Very simple. Ease of us, or we can say ease of human. As a human, we cannot recall everything. We cannot recall every name, right? So rather than IP address, we are okay with like remembering facebook.com, netminion.net, or any of the website. Probably we can able to recall it better rather than the IP addresses. We cannot go for the each and every IP address and recall. Then scalability. How scalability? With respect to the DNS, there is a centralized mechanism, okay, or I will say centralized and decentralized both, where your domain to IP conversion is making us very scalable. I will be coming to this point later on, okay, probably in some time when I would be explaining about more of the fundamentals of the DNS. Then, since you have DNS, you can do the dynamic updates of your IP address if you wanted to change the domain name, wanted to keep the same IP, or wanted to make the domain name same and IP different. Probably it will work. Then efficient routing, whatever routing you need to do. But let me tell you, before this, I need to talk about maybe some of the history. How many of you are aware that before DNS, there was some entries done or performed into our PC or in our server itself, where that entries, configuration is done. Anybody is aware about it?
Host file?
True. Host file. So there is host file where people used to do it. And even nowadays also it exists. You don't think so that it does not exist. So host file is nothing. Host file is a simple text file, you can say. It is a simple text file where people used to manually map, okay, manually map the domain to the IP. So from domain to IP, if anybody has to done, it will be done manually. Okay, let me quickly show you. Okay, let me open my, give me a minute. If I will show you, I want the C. Yep. So in the C, where is that? Windows, here should be system 32. Okay, and maybe drivers. Is there something named as drivers? Yes, drivers. Then here it should be
Drivers etc.
Yeah, that is what I am trying to find out. ATC is where? Here you ATC, and you can see this host file. If I will try to open it with maybe some kind of notepad or some of the no or simple notepad probably. Okay, you will be able to see. Let me show you. This is the host file. Okay, same concept goes for your Linux also. But let me tell you, in Windows, when you open this file, you can see some of the entries. But before that entry, you can see this hash symbol. It means it is a command. Okay, currently we are not using anything. But if you remove this command, you put some IP address, give some name, then it will take the precedence. Okay, it will be on the topmost priority. Even your PC will check the host file first, and then it will go to the DNS server. If something is find out into your host file, then that's good. That will take the precedence. Okay, so this is the story of host file. Similarly, if you are using the Linux machine, in your Linux you should have an etc, and there directly you can go into the host file using this directory. Okay, so that is your host file, and before actually the DNS come into the picture, there was only host file which people used to do. And there are a lot of use case of this host file, like if you wanted to block some malicious traffic. So what you can do, you put those websites over here. Let us say your child are using some of the websites which you don't want them to open. What you can do, you could put entry over here, and in case of your IP address, you just put 127.0.0.0.1. Getting my point? So those websites will never open. Why? Because those are pointing to where? To the local loopback address, right? So it maybe you can say if you wanted to override the DNS temporarily, you can use the host file nowadays as well. Very simple and direct, requiring no additional infrastructure. Immediate effect. You need not to wait for the DNS propagation and all of the thing. But let me tell you, when it comes on the organization, it is the manual thing for ourselves. Yeah. But when it comes to the organization, when there is a complete whole soul organization you need to do, then scalability is the issue. You cannot go into everybody's PC and can make the changes of your IP addresses thing. Okay, no scalable for the large infrastructure, I will say. And if there are frequent changes, probably you will be having a lot of manual effort need to be done. Not scalable. Secondly, maintenance becoming a very challenge when you have growing with it. Okay, I am talking about earlier days when there was no DNS and only host file was there, and there can be an override issue, manual issues because somebody is doing the entry, maybe he or she is not doing correctly. Then it is like become very hard. So DNS when come into the picture, let me close this. Okay, so when DNS come into the picture, so DNS makes something centralized. So you can just relate to the host file currently, although there are a lot of things which come into the picture. But currently just make a thinking of your host file is coming as a centralized location, which is named as DNS at that time. So now distribution of your domain to IP address. People used to come to the DNS and DNS try to resolve it. Okay, so any PC who is coming over there, they depending upon some of the third centralized server, and that is the DNS regulation comes into the picture. I hope you people are getting the point. Then not only this, DNS allow you dynamic update without requiring changes on the each and every user location for sure. Okay, so if a website address you are making the changes into the direct DNS zone, okay, currently we can just remove it and we can make it as a zone. Okay, so if you are putting some entry into the DNS zone, it will be get reflected to all of the user. You need not to go to every machine and do the changes over there, right? Secondly, it enable the load balancing. When it comes on your DNS, it you can do some kind of load balancing mechanism. Probably load balancing is again a complete whole soul lecture which will take 2 to 3 hours. Okay, or minimum at least 2 hours when I need to explain about load balancing, because in DNS, in F5 DNS or F5 GTM, there are hell lot of load balancing mechanism come into the picture. Very, I will say, deeply you need to understand about the load balancing. Very big chapter about the load balancing that I will be gonna explain. But currently, I am not touching F5. I'm just talking about a general DNS, very simple DNS technique. Okay, so DNS, it's a port failover. It ensure the user are directed to the healthy servers because it will keep on monitoring the servers also. So there are a lot of modern environment. When you have cloud computing, we have IoT kind of thing. DNS is ensuring a seamless connectivity between your distributed services or the different application services. So you cannot exclude DNS from your life. Everybody who is working on the internet, they need to come on the DNS. Okay. So far, any doubt from anybody who joined Charles? Hey, Charles. Okay. No doubt. But there are some common DNS challenges also. There are some challenges in the DNS kind of thing. What I am not again talking about F5. I am just talking about the historical part, how DNS come into the picture, what DNS resolved, what was the DNS challenges. So when we talk about the centralization kind of stuff, so let us say this is a centralized DNS, okay, and your environment is distributed across the world, maybe in the America region, in the Europe region, okay, APAC region, or whatever. So whosoever is a client is coming, they need to go to their DNS server for sure, right? To make the DNS resolution. So when it is a centralized services, it means it is increasing the latency, performance issue, slow DNS resolution can delay your website loading speed and maybe application access, often caused by your overloaded DNS request. Inefficient routing can be there, right? Then when some new thing come into the picture, some new attacks come into the picture. People used to do some kind of DNS spoofing, or maybe we can say cache poisoning. On these attacks, I will be explaining you a lot after our classes will start. Okay, we will be gonna talk about this, don't worry. But currently I am giving some names so that you people are able to relate what kind of challenges we experience at that time. Okay, so what are these? These are like attacker wanted to inject some false DNS record so that user can be redirected to some malicious website and they can again steal their data or blah blah blah. You know all the dark web story, how they work. Then there can be DDoS attack which can happen on your DNS server so that your application can be dead. Okay, and you are not like as a hacker. They don't want it to, they are just wanted to make it dead by not responding to the legitimate queries. Right? There can be DNS amplification attacks, and for sure, when you have DNS server, there should be a team who need to do the configuration over there. If somebody is doing the misconfiguration, incorrectly configured DNS zone or maybe the code or maybe server, it can lead to a resolution failure or the downtime for all of the user, right? So these things come into the picture. Then earlier days, because you have a centralized server, so the question of the redundancy come into the picture. How to make it as a redundant, right? And some majorly ISPs was owning this. Then ISP used to put a lot of restriction. Maybe some ISP may block specific DNS queries or redirect them to their own resolver, causing the unexpected behavior. Okay, it might be issue in the scalability issue also, because scalability kind of stuff, because when the traffic is growing, your DNS infrastructure may struggle to scale because some another party is doing, right? So as I told you, how earlier the DNS was, come into the picture, and how all of these things, are keeping on moving. Fine, fair enough. Any question in this particular slide? Charles, Patrick, Sunit, Jasdeep. Any question, guys? No? So this is the agenda. I hope every one of you is aware about this. We already talked about DNS introduction. Let's come to this slide, DNS introduction. Introduction, I already talked about that the DNS server determine the IP address lookup, okay, with respect to your domain. By the way, on which layer it works? Anybody? In case of OSI, on which layer it works? OSI is clear to everybody? Nobody is speaking. OSI is clear? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 7 layers in the OSI, layer 7, layer 6, layer 5, application, presentation, and session layer, right? Then transport layer, networking layer, and maybe your data layer, and then physical layer for sure, where physically your traffic will keep on moving from one place to another. Okay. So DNS is your upper layer things, right? Where your HTTP protocol is also upper layer thing. Your FTP is also upper layer thing. Your SMTP is also upper layer thing. SSL for sure come over here. SSL thing will also come into the picture. So similarly, like in your OSI layer, if you talk about, each layer have their own work, okay? And upper layer generally is related with your data traffic kind of thing. When you come to the transport layer, it is segmenting into some kind, maybe segments, we can say. Okay, the unit's name is segments. On the layer 3, unit name is network. Okay, bit like that, you have different stuff. So DNS is working over there. Very intelligent and scalable solution when we are talking about FI DNS for sure. But currently I am just giving you a example of the how DNS work. Okay, how your DNS kind of stuff come into the picture. And as I was telling you, in your 1970 or 1980, okay, it was your host file only, host txt, what we were used to, do the stuff. So there was a person named as Paul or John Postel who developed this DNS concept in 1983. Okay, before that it was only host file what we wanted to do. So I will say in 1980s or 1990s, okay, during my birth probably year. Okay, so we used to come on the DNS, and at that time also it was not the fully fledged DNS. It was something named as bind. I hope you people have heard about it. How many of you are aware about bind? Have you heard about bind? Yes or no, please? No? Okay. Bind is stands
No.
for Berkeley. It's all right. I will be, by the way, explaining about the bind. I will even configure the bind. Okay, because it is a free DNS on the Linux machine. So it's named as Barclay Internet Name Domain, named as bind. Okay, if I will show you, let me just give you a minute. Can you see this topology? In our topology, I will be explaining about this topology later on. But if you see, there is a Linux server. This Linux server will act as a bind server also. That may be, or the DNS server also. If you see here, okay. If you see here, if I will check there, can you see I just run a command named -v. Okay, this is a Linux command named -v, which means I wanted to check the version of bind. So you can see here bind 9.0.3 P for Ubuntu, the machine, Linux machine, what I am running. Okay, so in this bind, it is a free service for the DNS thing. Okay, people used to maintain it earlier also and nowadays also, who don't have a very big infrastructure, they used to go for the bind. Okay, in the bind they used to make some concept. I don't want to make you confuse zones, and there are some forwarding zones, there is some reverse zone, and there they used to populated their records, bit like your host file, right? In host file, what you were doing, you were putting the entry. Same thing you can talk about, or you can think about records are there. So records are, again, there are a couple of the type of the records. Okay, I will be gonna explain you about all of those things in upcoming classes. But currently, you just think about that those entries we need to put over here. If you wanted to see, probably let me show you. So I am into the bind directory. You can see etc bind. Okay. So this is a bind directory. When you install the bind, how to install the bind, I will talk about. Okay. I will give you each and every detail from the scratch. Okay. It was the question from you, Charles, if I am not wrong, that either you will talk about the simple DNS or not, right, Charles? So we will be configuring this bind server, don't worry. And I will be telling you how this bind works. But if you see here, ls minus here, there are a couple of the directories over there, right? And if I will show you maybe one of them, stat name dot dot local. So you can see I have my one domain, and the domain name is netminiontraining.com, right? So what actually I am doing here, this Linux server is acting as a DNS server. DNS server. It's named as NS, name server for your DNS. And the zone is what? Zone name is netminiontraining.com. So maybe if you are into the Facebook, so Facebook has their own domain. Let's say facebook.com. If you talk about Google, Google has their own domain like google.com. For Google, there should be a different name servers or authoritative servers. I will be going to talk about them. Don't worry. Facebook has some different. If you talk about NetMinion, okay, NetMinion maybe have different. Let me show you. Let me show you. All of these things are actually globally available. If you go over here, there is a good tool, Google Dig. So if you see here, let me use maybe netminion.net here. Go for the netminion.net. So can you see it is showing what is the A record? A record means simply IP address you can think about. Same thing you can go for the, like if you go to the command prompt, and I will just ns lookup netminion.net. Same thing I can able to achieve from here. Yeah. Why it is non-authoritative? Even we will be gonna talk about those also. Everything we will be gonna talk about, but yeah, step by step. We cannot merge everything in one class. So you can see this is a IP address which is nothing but bit like an entry, and this entry is A record. Okay, named as A record, and you can see there is an A record for. But similarly, if you see there are a couple of records are there. If you talk about MX record, yeah. So if I will click on MX record, which is for your mail exchange for sure, you can see there are something I can able to see for the mail exchange. And this is your site of origin, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So if you see SOA record, so if you see this SOA record, you can able to see who is the name server is the Cloudflare. Okay, even in the name server, I can check it. If I will click on the name server, you can see the name servers are Cloudflare. What are those? Probably, don't worry. I will be explaining about each and every term. Currently, you just try to see what the things are and how they work. Okay, then you will be able to connect with each and every dot when our class will begin. Don't worry. So you can see there is a SOA record. This SOA record means somebody has done the entry. And same thing when I was showing in the this whole story. If I will show you over here, let me clear this. And if I will show you cat and that meaning training forwarded John, can you see this SOA record here, guys? Able to see this SOA record? It means we are creating this whole story on our Linux or Unix machine, whatever you say, to build a domain or to give the DNS resolution of the domain named as netminiontraining.com. Bit like netminion.net, somebody else is giving, like Cloudflare. Let's see about the Google. Let's see about the Google, who is providing for the Google. Maybe Google should have their own, but let's see. Google.com. And here you go. Can you see? Google have their own, as I told. So if I will go to the name server, they should be managing their own self. Yeah. So you can see they have their authoritative servers or the non-authoritative server. These are the Google. What about Facebook? Let's see about Facebook. No name server they are showing. They are hiding everything. Oh, no. Maybe I didn't put the complete domain up. Facebook.com name server. Yep, they have their own. So you can see all the big companies maintain their own self, right? And that is where F5 comes here. So let's see about SCL. What is that? SL.com or some SL Tech? If I'm not, it's SL Tech now. SL Tech. And you can see even SCL is managing their own. Good, great. So there are a lot of companies you can able to see each and every. See, can you see the exchange servers? Here is the exchange server information, A records. So I hope you are able to understand that somewhere these entries are present in the internet. And that is the reason how you are able to access the internet through whenever maybe you know a user is trying to go to any of the website. What are those steps? Probably I will be try to explain about those also. But let's come back. Focus over here on our main topic, bind. Is it clear to you people? Able to relate now what the bind is? Charles, Patrick, Sunit, Jasdeep, okay for you people?
Yeah.
Okay. So in 1990s and 2000, if I will proceed further, 1990 to 2000, then your lot of DNS service provider come into the picture. Lot of DNS service provider. They used to provide service for your top level domain. Uh, Again, one thing, what is top level domain, I will be explaining in a moment. Okay. So they used to provide top level domain. They used to provide security named as DNS security or DNS sec. Okay, in short form. So this means domain name system security extensions. Okay, these started developing in 2000s, and then from 2000 to present, we can say there are a lot of cyber attack which is happening on the DNS. Okay, because it is really very important. If somebody is hacking your DNS, it means all the web servers, all the exchange servers, or whatever you say, everything is dead, right? So DNS come into the picture. How DNS come into the picture? What are the common challenges? What is the importance? I hope these all things should be clear to you people. If you have any doubt, any question, please feel free to ask. I am waiting for 30 seconds. No? Good. Let's proceed then. So next topic is what is DNS hierarchy? Okay, like I was mentioning you, there are some kind of domains which come into the picture, right? So you need to understand now. So whenever you are developing some solution, right, in your environment, if you need to develop your network, you cannot go and do the configuration. You cannot, go directly and bring the devices. You need to first design something. Similarly, if you talk about DNS, there is a root server. Okay, dot server, root server. You can say any server. You can say root server. Okay, it is bit like a reverse tree for sure. Then after the root server, there are some top level domains, which means like you have seen .org for the organization, .com generally very common. Then maybe .net for network kind of thing. For government, you can see .government kind of domain, right? Then company specific or sorry, country specific like .france, .india, whatever. So China, bit like that. You have lot of domains are available. So first of all, there would be a root server. After the root server, there would be top level domains come into the pictures. Everybody has their own, I will say, DNS utilities. Okay, I will be explaining in a moment. And then there can be second level domain, there can be trustee level domain, there can be a lot of domains available. Let's give an example. Let's move for the netminion.net kind of stuff. Okay, here, let us say I have some sales, I have some HR, maybe not like that. It should be like this. NetMinion, and even in the NetMinion, I can have sales, I can have HR, I can have marketing, okay, or any document. So how your fully qualified domain name occurs is bit like HR dot from here, as I told you, reverse tree. Yeah, HR dot NetMinion dot net, and then a hidden dot in the background. This is your complete name. And when your actual resolution happens, it happens from left to right in this direction. Okay. So when somebody comes in the browser and put a name, the very first, it will go to dot or root server, then top level domain. Then if second level domain is there, then if trustee level domain is there. So whole of this story will go from left to right. Any question in this, please feel free to ask. No? Good. Even this root server, if you talk about, in different of the articles, you can able to see there are total 13 root servers, although there are more, okay, nowadays. But there is an organization named as IANA, okay, a department named as maybe a department of ICANN, who talk the overall coordination of your DNS root zone. Okay, so there are total 13 root servers. They are named as A, B, C, bit like that till M, and different companies, research institution, universities, including your some government agencies also, who are handling or operating these root servers. Okay, so there are lot of companies, I will say, who are maintaining these root servers. So um, as I told you, you can able to see 13, but it can be more than that. So how DNS work, if I will talk about the very first, when you put any name in the background, as I told you, even you don't put this dot, but this dot is a hidden dot. It will come into the picture always. Okay. And this will, okay, maybe let me create a diagram to make you people understand. See, let us say there is a user. It's me. Okay. It's my PC. In my PC, I am just putting, I wanted to go to netminion.net. Okay, or maybe www.netminion.net. I wanted to go to this website. So my PC will see first of all, either entry is there into my host file. No. Either first of all, it will see first of all, browser cache. Either there is something into my browser cache. No. Host file. No. Any other cache. No. Then it will go to somehow to its local DNS server, whatever you have provided into your machine, LDNS we used to say. Let me show you into the command. If you see here, ipconfig, you can see there is a default gateway. Okay, maybe let me show you minus /all. And can you see DNS server? So this is my local DNS server. If you just wanted to see probably only that, let me find DNS. So you can see this is my DNS server. Yeah. So this is my local DNS server. Okay. With my machine. So my machine will go where? It will go to my local DNS server. In my local DNS server, it should have its own cache. If there is something into its own cache, the revert back will be directly. Otherwise, local DNS will try to connect to my root server. Root server will never resolve the query. It will see that, okay, you wanted to go to the .NET. Let me give you the IP of the net server. And it will go to the net server. Why? Because you are aware the resolution will happen from left to right. And in the top uh, top left, we have dot server. After dot, we have net. So it will go to the net. It will say into the net. When it will go, it will say that, okay, I wanted to go to the netminion.net. Net server say that, okay, I have an entry available over here. Maybe it's a Cloudflare who is managing it. Go to the Cloudflare. So Cloudflare, name server, if you remember, I show you NS record. So depending upon that NS record, that entry has to be done actually. Okay, somebody does that. Only then your domain will come on the internet. Otherwise, it won't come. So Cloudflare will say that, okay, I am the authoritative server. Let me give you the IP address. So it will give you the IP address. Post that, this is your whole DNS query I am talking about. This is how all your DNS query will happen. Once this DNS query is done, this will go to the your NetMinion server, netminion.net application server, I can say. So now your HTTP query is coming. HTTP or HTTPS, whatever you say, HTTPS query is coming. So there are two things which are existing. One is your DNS query, and second is your HTTPS query. I hope you people are able to relate it now. Are you? Yes or no, please? Is this point clear to everybody? Anybody has any question? Feel free to ask. Jasdeep, Sunit, Patrick, Charles. Any question, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So let me go. Fine. I hope it's clear with you. Top level domain root and authority server is the server who maintains actual the entries of the A record or the zone, who is handling the zone. Then there is some server types like DNS query types like A record stands for name to IP, quad A, name to IPv6, MX for your mail exchange servers, CNAME. It is bit like your canonical names, which means when your website has maybe, like it's not a actual example, but I am trying to give you an example so that you can able to relate. Like you are opening facebook.com and you are opening fb.com. Both are opening the same website. So it can be done using CNAME also. How they are doing, that is a separate matter. But I am just telling you, it can be done using the CNAME also. In the CNAME, we can give that, okay, this website can have another name also. Okay. So that is how we can plan for it. Just give me a minute. Just a minute. Somebody is pinging on the chat. Okay, back over here. So any questions so far on this point, whatever we have discussed? No? Great. So I can give the steps, number of steps I can give you. Okay. Same way, I am just creating your previous diagram. Okay. In previous diagram, how it is going to its LDNS, and from LDNS, it's going to the root. From root, it is going to the top level domain. From top level domain, somehow it is going to authoritative name server. Authoritative name server is the one who is maybe liable to give you the IP address. So how your IP address is going away? First query, your user is putting in the web browser, wanted to travel to some of the resource on the internet. It can be any, right? Then this query will go to your LDNS. LDNS not able to resolve it. LDNS will send this query to the root domain name server. You people are aware of. Root will never give you the IP address of the actual query. Never. Why? Because root does not have the entries. Root have the entries only for the top level domain. So root will give the top level domain IP address. When the top level domain IP address is there, all these kind of recursive lookup and the forward recursive lookup is happening. Okay, so this is your recursive lookup. This is your recursive lookup. What you are doing. So here, when root will say that, okay, this is my top level domain server. If you wanted to go, you can just go to the top level domain server and he will tell you. So the next point, LDNS will make a query to your top level domain server. Top level domain server say that, okay, I don't have the actual application entry, but I can tell you where you can go and you can understand about the actual IP of the maybe any of the resource you are finding out. It will say that, okay, give me the IP address of that resource, and then this IP will go to your authoritative name server. Authoritative name server is liable where your A record exists, okay, where your actual entry is there. And this entry will give you the IP address, same IP address you will be gonna give to the user. This is your whole DNS query. This is whole DNS query which will happen into the 8th step, right? This is a very important step with respect to your interview and with respect to your troubleshooting. Then the 9th query will be going to go to the actual HTTP query to your application server, because you have the application IP address detail now available and you can form a packet. Again, OSI model. In the OSI model, you need to have the packet. For the packet, you need to have destination IP detail. So when you have IP address detail, it will give you, you can just generate a request and this request will be responded to you. And that is how your app server traffic or application traffic or the application query and the DNS query will come into the picture. Any doubt in this, please feel free to ask. No? Good. So when we are making the query to the LDNS, for sure, when we are doing it and we are wanting to make it, it is named as recursive DNS queries. And when it is doing all of this stuff, going to the root domain, top level domain, second level domain, tertiary level domain, blah, 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 blah. It is named as iterative DNS queries. Okay. So there are two type of queries. One is, as I told you, recursive query. One I talked about iterative DNS queries, which helps to maintain your DNS thing. But this is simple DNS I am talking about. Simple DNS. I am not including any of the F5 thing currently. So there is no F5 which come into the picture right away. Okay, there is nothing. Only simple DNS queries which happens. So if you want, sorry.
A question, please.
Go ahead.
After the local DNS, everything that is going on after the local DNS, is it done locally or over the internet?
If you see, I create this cloud, right? So this is internet traffic,
Okay.
public traffic. That is the reason I make a cloud over there.
Okay.
Yeah, because root, as I told you, root domain is distributed among 13 different root server I talked about, right? And they are maintained by different organizations. Okay. If I will show you how many root servers are there in the world. So if you wanted to see, there are 1700. So maximum you can able to see, or maybe let me just say root servers, root DNS servers. Okay, there are 13 root servers you can able to see let's go for the Cloudflare. So you can read about it. Same thing, like the same as I gave you the root and all of those things. You can see they are also giving the reverse tree structure, right? And you can see why there are only 13. So there are total 13 who operate those different, as I took the name of ICANN, and you can see they are also giving you the ICANN thing. A2M I talked about. Uh, So is there some A to M? Maybe we can able to see what is this Anycast. If you see there is a word Anycast, I will be going to talk about that word Anycast. Very important word in case of your DNS thing. But yeah, I will be explaining about that. So is it clear now, Patrick?
Yes, it's okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So you people have learned about F5 LTM. And in F5 LTM, what we learned about is server load balancing. Load balancing, yeah, server load balancing. What is server load balancing? Server load balancing means when my users are coming, okay, maybe internally, maybe through the internet, through the extranet, through the intranet, howsoever. Okay, I'm just making a cloud, and somehow the traffic is coming on my F5 LTM device. F5 LTM device will do what? F5 LTM device will do the load balancing. Okay, this traffic either will be sent over on one of the server. Okay, all the traffic whatever is coming, it will come on the F5, and F5 will distribute it on one of the server. That is your what? That is named as your server load balancing, right? So when you are talking about server load balancing, you mean about a data center. Everything it is happening into same data center, right? But when we talked about F5 DNS solution, it means we are not talking about SLB, but we are talking about GSL, global server load balancing. Very important term, and very maybe I will say, okay, let me maybe create a diagram to make you people understand. Let us say there are some users who are coming. Now I am talking about the DNS query. I am not talking about the application query first of all. Okay. This is coming to the LDNS. From LDNS, it will come to the root domain server. From the root, it will go to the top level domain. From the top level domain, it will go to the NS server. And that NS server is available into the FIDNS, let us say. Okay. Now, FIDNS server has some entries. There is something named as wide IP. So has some entries, and those entries are showing it can be the same application is residing into data center 1, and same application is residing into data center 2, and there can be maybe F5 LTM box. I'm just giving a typical, F5 LTM 2, LTM 1, which is working in HA. Maybe I am just creating an HA like that. Here also there are two box, F5 LTM 1, F5 LTM 2. Okay, and again the people are in HA. And behind that, there are maybe, let us say, 3 servers of the same application. Here also, let us say there are 2 servers of the same application. Okay. And you have created some of the VIP virtual server, same virtual server IP. You people are aware about now how virtual server work, how the pool member and everything work. These people wanted to go to the netminion.net, let us say. Okay. Any name you can take. I'm just giving a random example. So when your LDNS try to resolve it, it will say that, oh, buddy, I don't have any information. Let me go to the root. Root will send it to the top level domain. Top level domain will say that, okay, go to the name server. And that name server is where? On your DNS. Okay. There should be for sure a IP, and that IP is named as listener IP. Okay. And I will be going to talk about it. Don't worry. And then there is something named as wide IP you have created, and those wide IP, like bit like pool members, okay, have 2 pool members. One is from DC1 and one is from DC2. Okay, maybe this DC1 is into your America region, this is into your Europe region, let us say. Okay, your application is working over there, and here maybe the virtual server what you are creating is 10.10.10.1, And here, let us say the IP is 172.1.1.1. Okay, I'm just giving you an example. Now, here in the FIDNS, you have wide IP. In wide IP, you have two records. One is 10.10.10.1 and second is 172.1.1.1. Now, your FIDNS will need to send the traffic either to the data center 1 or to the data center 2. This is called global server load balancing. Globally, among the data center, you need to choose one of them. How you will choose is another question. There are lot of, I will say, load balancing mechanism which will come into the picture when we will be going to talk about such of the topics. Okay, so when your any of the user is coming, let us say this user is nearby to the US. Okay, it is nearby the US. When this traffic coming from the root domain server to the top level domain server to the name server on the FIDNS will see that, okay, it is closely to the US region. I need to give the IP which is in the US. So he will get the IP of 172. Now the actual application traffic when come, it will come where? It will come on the virtual server of 172.1.1.1, and again the load balancing, LTM load balancing will work, and one of the application server pool member will answer that query and your application traffic will happen. So this is your whole app traffic. Okay, and the above traffic is your DNS traffic. Is it clear to you, Charles, Patrick, who joined? Prashant. Hey, Prashant. So I hope everybody is on the same page now. Anybody has any question, you feel free to ask.
Hello.
Hi, Prashant.
Actually, I just joined. So,
Not an issue. You missed a lot of stuff, but that's fine. You can go through the video, and if you
mhm.
have any doubt, you can ask.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So Patrick, Charles, Sunit, Jasdeep, is this point you are able to understand how this GSLB work?
Yeah.
Anybody has any doubt? So that is your FIDNS work. And in your FIDNS means you are having your own DNS server. You are not, depending upon third party now. You are creating your FI server by, FI DNS server by yourself. You are maintaining it by yourself. See, usually what happened, for global traffic, people used to take some service provider who supports the DNS solution. Okay, it is a mix match kind of, maybe you can say, approach. And for your local traffic, like let us say in your organization, you should have some of the portal where you used to put timesheet kind of thing, absence approvals, or lot of stuff is there, right? So locally, when somebody is connected to the VPN, they wanted to go to your DNS server. That DNS server must be situated locally. Somebody in your organization must be handling that. But if users are coming from the internet, generally people used to take services from internet service, sorry, the DNS service providers. Okay, I will be explaining about those topics and those things. These are still upcoming, traffic, upcoming, maybe I will say, sessions which we need to see about. Okay, as I told you, this would be our lab. Yeah, I talked about this. I talked about this DNS stuff, and you are aware, like everybody of you are my old student apart from Prashant. I don't know, Prashant. Have you joined any previous batch with us? Any batch?
No, sir. Actually, I think I was watching your video on YouTube yesterday. So I think it's you. Your name is Radhe Verma, right?
Yeah, yeah. My name is Radhavan.
Okay, okay. So I mean, just yesterday I watching you, so I interested to.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
So luckily you are starting with the
Yes,
DNS batch today only.
yes, yes.
Okay, not an issue. So rest apart from Prashant. you are my old student. You are aware how to go through the lab, what to do, how to do, right? So this lab will be available to you, Prashant. Just FYI, all the sessions, whatever we are doing, are the recorded sessions. You will get the recording for sure. Okay, everything you will get, like lab recording, and if you have some doubts, probably you can clear in the class, after the class, or maybe you can put me over the WhatsApp. Fine. So let's come back to the topic. If you see, this is our DNS topology. In this DNS topology, as I was telling you, we will not only do the FIDNS, but we will create the DNS server on this Linux machine using the bind utility, what I was showing you today. Yeah, it is a free utility for the Linux thing. Okay, and this bind utility, using this bind utility, we will create a domain. And into that domain, we will create some of the zones, like forward zone also we will create. Forward zones means when from name to IP address you need to resolve. But it can be a vice versa. From IP to name also you can do some kind of lookup. It is named as reverse zone. So we will create forward zone, we will create reverse zone. Both zones we will create over here, and we will try to explore the lot of topics from there. Okay. So here in this FIDNS lab, we will be gonna create bind using bind server. We will create DNS server, and then there is a topic. I don't know if you people are aware or not, named as DNS Express. Okay, or sorry, not DNS zone transfer. Okay, so we will be transferring the zone. Okay, zone transfer. Zone transfer means, let us say in your environment you are running with some of the DNS servers and you want to transfer it on F5. Okay, there are again couple of the topics included into zone transfer as well. We will be gonna talk about that later on. But yeah, we will be gonna do zone transfer, and post that, once all the DNS concepts is clear to you, we will be making our GTM up. Yes, we will be gonna configure the DNS server as our GTM. Once one GTM is okay, then we will make our another GTM is also, because I need to show you how these GTMs works in redundancy mode. Okay, so how this redundancy work, what would be your name server decode. Okay, all of those topics we will be gonna configure. Let me show you. Like I was showing you now, I was showing you the bind server utility, and if you see here, I was showing you I have netminiontraining.com kind of zone. Okay, let's go onto this window machine and try to resolve this. Try to resolve this. So CMD IP config. Let me flush the DNS if there is some kind of old or stale entries are there. Let me do ns lookup NetMinion training.com. So you can see, oh, my DNS server is 88888. So for sure, this domain does not exist on the internet. So it will not resolve for sure. I need to make the change, ncpa.cpl. And here I need to change my, let me go into IPv4. It's 888. What is my Linux machine IP? So if config, I will check. So you can see this machine is having IP 1010. No, it's a broadcast. This is the IP 101035. So let me change the IP address. 10.10.30.5. Let me put OK. Put OK. Okay. And now let me check if the DNS is taking place. Yep. Can you see this? It is showing, buddy, netminiontraining.com is getting resolved with your 10.10.5. Why? Because this Linux machine is handling this zone. And if you see, when I am doing this, can you see some non-authoritative kind of stuff here? No. But when I was doing ns lookup, like Was that your screen? CLS. Yep. Okay. So what I was showing, NS lookup. If you do the NS lookup for, let us say, NetMinion.net, let us say Google.com, let us say Facebook.com, any website you take, any website, you will be able to see this statement: non-authoritative answer, non-authoritative server, non-authoritative server. Okay, who is answering? But this answer is given by your authoritative server only. Why this is non-authoritative server? Is it good or no bad? That I will be explaining you. For sure, we cannot expose our actual DNS server. Okay, so we are delegating our services to some another DNS server. So that is good. But I am just trying to tell you. See, this is authoritative answer who is giving the queries response. So if I will see how many records I have a record for, let's try to see, I have records for sales. If I will do sales netminiontraining.com, it should be resolving to 2.2.2.2. Okay, let us see. Quickly check. It will be a fun. Okay. It was what? Sales, yeah. Sales.netminion.training.com, and here you go. Why? Because this is a simple, this is not a very bigger or complex or arithmetic calculations we need to do. We can see it directly. There are some records and it is resolving that. But how these queries are working, what is the actual process, how the packet will flow, that you need to understand, right? And for the same, we need to bring up our a lot of, probably I can say, topics. So those topics we will work upon step by step. Any question, guys, so far? Anything? Any doubt? No? Fine. So I hope we have already talked about this. No questions. Then we are good to wrap it up over here for today's demo. Okay. House is open for the questions. If somebody has any question, you can ask. Those who don't have any questions, let me tell you one thing. Batch today was the demo class. Okay. From next Saturday and Sunday, we will be having the live class starting from 12 p.m. G plus 5:30. Okay, Indian time. I can say IST. So from here, your time will start only on Saturday and Sunday. Class will be long for 130 hours to 2 hours, depend upon the topic. Generally, we wrap it up within 130 hours only, 1 hour and 30 minutes, I mean to say. And this will approximately within 5 to 6 weeks, your class should be over. Okay, that is an approximate time depending upon how we are learning the concepts, because we cannot make our speed so much so that we are not able to tackle it, and we cannot be so slow that we are just stretching it up for a year, so that we combinedly we need to tackle. Okay, apart from it, as I mentioned, you will get videos of every session. Okay, it is getting recorded. You will get that from our portal. You will get the lab as complimentary. You will get the videos as complimentary. If you have some doubt sessions, for sure, you can ask. Okay. Any question, feel free to tell me. I am happy to answer. If not, we are good to wind it up over here for today. Jasdeep, Prashant, Sunit, Patrick, Charles. Any question, guys?
No.
No.
Okay, if no questions, let us wrap it up over here. Prashant, you maybe stay over here, okay, because you wanted to discuss something. So you here. Rest people, have a very great day. Thanks for joining in. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can be here. Otherwise, you may leave for the day. Thanks a lot. We will meet next week.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sunit. Thank Thank you all. Charles, Prashant, you can be here, okay?
Okay, sir. We'll come back to the link controller on the next session.
Sure, sure. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Patty.
you.
Take care. Bye.
Right.
Charles, you have any question? No?
No.
Okay. Let me stop the recording.